Like a Hellcat.
Ciao ragazzi, and welcome to another edition of Serie Sitdown, World Football Index's podcast of Calcio Told Like It Is. I'm Frank Ravello, the conductor, Richard Carmen. Ciao, Richard.
Ciao, Frank. How are we doing tonight, man?
Got you finally. The camera came. You didn't even notice. You're getting old. You're getting slow, man.
Yeah. Exactly. I feel it now. And that's why I'm wearing a Car 20 jersey. Just get that, adds that weight to it, everything. You know?
I thought you threw that on to celebrate the fact that they finally won.
They finally won, and they scored more than one goal. Yeah. Absolutely.
Oh my. So first of all, big shout out to United Daily Pod and Ben Pierce. Thank you for having me on this morning. Was on with Matt Santangelo previewing Man United and Milan on Thursday for the Europa League. We will talk about that a little bit later in the podcast, along with Roma's big date with Shakhtar Donetsk. We'll also break down the three big games that took place on Match Week 26, the 32 goals that happened over the weekend in Match Week 26. And could you imagine a match week, Richard, 32 goals and Atalanta didn't score?
Yeah, no, I wouldn't. If I was a betting man, I wouldn't have bet that, right? And I'm going to go on the record and say majority of these goals were goals of the week candidates. It was a fantastic weekend for goals, beautiful goals at that. And Atalanta not scoring. I mean, who would have thunk it, right?
Yep. And we'll talk about the rest of match week 26, and then of course we will wrap it all up with Who Won Calcio Twitter, the world's most popular hashtag game. And we've got a ton of entries. Not surprising that a lot of last-second entries today, Richard. I wonder why.
Yeah, don't know why, huh? Something happened today with an Italian team abroad. I don't know.
Once again, Juventus is out of the Champions League, and that's where we will lead this podcast. David, Tyler, and Gilia Patate, ciao. Good to see you guys. Once again, if you are on any of our streams here, please check in with us. It'd be good to see and hear from who is giving us a view today. So, but anyway, Juventus out of the Champions League yet again and again for the second straight season in the round of 16. They go down to Porto, 10-man Porto at that, on the away goals rule. They win 3. They get it to extra time after 2-1. And then in the away goals rule, as Porto scored an extra time, and then Juve followed up, but they could not get the extra goal necessary to move on to the last 8. Now, I want to get the first thing first out of the way, Richard. When we get to extra time, I have been saying this for years. I have been saying this for as long as I have gotten familiar with cup football and two-legged ties. If ever a tie has to go to those extra 30 minutes, away goals rule should be thrown out.
Yeah, I do like the away goals, but I agree with you. I think in overtime, I think it should be wiped to 0. We've seen many teams be affected by this. And I get it, but it is unfair at a point when you get to overtime. You're both teams struggle to get to this far. They should be wiped out and be 0-0 at that point.
Yeah.
We saw great teams in the past. I mean, I look back at 2008, 2009 when Zenit St. Petersburg, they had a great team under Arshavin, and they lost to Bayern Munich in extra time because of the away goals rule. They won something like 3-1 in overtime or something, but because the away goals rule, they lost the leg. So it's a difficult rule. I think that something needs to be tweaked. But it sure made Juventus pay for it. Who would have thunk that they would have lost on a free kick goal, right? I mean, I guess it was away goal, but still, it was a goal nonetheless.
And it's for a very simple reason. You don't play the extra 30 minutes in the first leg. So the team that is the home team for the second leg, if it gets to that, they're at a massive disadvantage if they concede. Yeah. It means they have to score twice. Yeah. If you get to that point after 180 minutes of football, at that point, and you got to play another 30, the away goals rule gets thrown out. Simple as that. So that's my reset, revised rant. Go ahead.
And David is saying something, asking would we prefer the golden goal rule? I personally would not, because I've always hated the golden goal rule, and the golden goal rule, it works in like hockey and other sports, right? But I think in soccer, football, whatever you want to call it, it's great to see a team scoring overtime early and then find the other team still has time to try to come back. We've seen results where a team has scored early in overtime and then the other team scored like 3-4 goals, to counteract that. So you get that emotion, intensity. It's great to see this. I don't want to see the golden goal rule. I still want to see the 30 minutes, but I think the away goals rule needs to be wiped out, like you said, once overtime hits, and then let them whoever scores the most goals wins. If not, go to penalties.
But it's for this season, with how condensed everything is, I think the golden goal rule would have made some sense.
Yeah, that's fair shot.
But this is a season where we could have made an exception to have it happen. But if we had a normal calendar of fixtures, then no, I'm with you. I want the entire extra time to play out. So, so I think that's probably where I maybe would play devil's advocate on your take just a little bit. But so that's out of the way. But now, Juventus. We keep doing this. We keep fucking doing this with these guys. They spent all that money to bring in the pretty boy, right? And then and I'm going to go off on everybody, okay? First of all, Porto, over the course of both games, did a magnificent job defending them. I made this comment because, with a friend that we're, building Champions League DFS slates. I didn't play Ronaldo. And it didn't work out for me because I played Morata instead of Chiesa, but I had Haaland and I had some of these other guys, and I made the comment to him. I said, I'm reminded of the first leg and how Porto defended around Ronaldo. They did a great job on him, and I think they're going to do the job on him again. They have a guy like back there in Pepe who knows him really well. Okay. Yeah. And is going to be able to deal with them. So you have that. I liked the idea of Morata playing from the start because this takes it as a target, takes some attention away from Ronaldo. Because if you're going to overload, if you're going to overcrowd Ronaldo, if you're going to triangle around him or whatever you're going to do, then that's going to free up Morata more, even in crossing situations. So I like Morata playing from the start. Morata came through. I think he had 3 or 4 shots on target in this game. He was really close. I mean, very early in the game, he should have scored. Marquezin was excellent on that save. Cuadrado had 32 crosses in this game. Yeah, 32. All right. I mean, they did. I mean, they obviously did everything they could to try to win this. But I mean, the optics of this for Juventus are so bad. I see Ricky saying worst 100 million invested I've ever seen. Well, they probably made that back in all of the shirts and kits that they sold.
Did you not remember the Milan $100 million purchase from a few years ago? That was probably the worst.
Yeah. The Rossonero Sport Luxembourg is probably one of the worst sports investments. So, so Cuadrado obviously was excellent. I mean, I don't know how much more service he can provide these guys. And, Ronaldo just couldn't find any room, couldn't find any space. Morata got free for some chances. Beautiful cross by Cuadrado on the Chiesa goal. And boy, Federico Chiesa, if it had not been for, I wonder how miserable this season this would be for Juve if Federico Chiesa didn't raise his level of play.
Yeah.
You know, the penalty in the first half, I actually thought Tomedi, I think, is it Tomedi?
Yeah.
Okay. I thought Tomedi made contact with Demirel first when I looked at it on the replays.
He was smart. He was very intelligent on that play.
Yeah.
He got in the way, and yeah. It's tough call. It's a tough call. I mean, I don't like seeing those kind of penalties when the player, obviously the offensive player knew what he was doing. He clearly was, and I mean, penalty, that's technically was a penalty, but I mean, yeah, I hate that call. I hate that call just because they're doing it intentionally, you know, and I don't know.
Yeah. Now, and Agnelli, okay, now listen, okay, not only have you gone out of the Champions League at very early stages, you know, the round of 16 and then the quarterfinals with Cristiano Ronaldo in your squad, you went out to Ajax, Lyon, and Porto, okay? You didn't go out to Bayern Munich. You didn't go out to Manchester City. You didn't go out to a Real Madrid or a Barcelona, you know, or anybody like that. You went out to Ajax, Lyon, and Porto, teams that are good teams, but teams that are coming from middle of the pack nations when it comes to the European landscape. Now, let's face it. Let's not bullshit each other. Do they have history? Do they have pedigree? Absolutely, they do. Yeah. But compared to the Premier League and the Bundesliga and La Liga and Serie A, those are regarded as the top four leagues. Sure. And if you're supposed to be the champion of one of the top four leagues, you're supposed to go out and beat a team from one of these middle, you know, upper middle tier leagues, let's just say.
To slightly counteract you, I'm going to just say that Ajax team that beat them was a fantastic team. But the rest of those clubs, yeah, I agree with you 100%. That was just a unique circumstance with Ajax where they were just fantastic. They were beating everybody that year. They really could have gone all the way. But yeah, I agree with you 100%. This is they're a Serie A team who's supposed to be one of the big giants. You should be able to take these kind of teams.
But it's still optics, you know. I mean,
this
isn't. You know, it was a good Ajax. It wasn't Louis van Gaal's Ajax of the 90s. Okay. And those guys were killers, by the way. Yeah. And I know the hard way. Juve Daily, we played terrible in the first half, play like amazing in the second half. I'm very pissed at this team. I think you should be pissed at this team. You know, you should be pissed at too. Andrea Agnelli, he's got this just absolute obsession, not just with we talked about Juve's obsession with the Champions League, but this just cringeworthy desire to have this European Super League, and you can't even beat the teams from the from the leagues that are supposed to be below, teams that you probably don't want in your Super League, and you can't beat them.
Yeah.
I mean, and you want to have a Super League and you want to go play against Bayern Munich and Manchester City and Real Madrid every week? Good luck to you.
Good luck. Good luck to anybody.
And the 100 million, as Ricky said, he sold a bunch of shirts and sold a bunch of kits. Congratulations. But there was a reason why they made this investment in Cristiano Ronaldo. They wanted to bring all big ears to Turin. All right. And it hasn't happened. It's another this is a failure. Okay, this is a failure to go out. And to go out on a free kick, on a poor wall, on your $100 million man turning his back when the ball is struck, and the ball going under everybody, and Szczesny still having a shot at it and couldn't get it. Okay, going on, that's just calamity. The optics are just horrible. All right, and I'm speaking as somebody whose, son is a huge Juve fan and was disappointed for him. Okay, and he said, "Hey, we weren't good enough." That my 9-year-old son we weren't good enough. We deserve to go out. If we can't, and he'd even say to the effect, he said, "If we can't beat Porto, how are we supposed to win this tournament?"
That's right.
So, it's a 9-year-old saying that.
Yeah. So that wall was a disgrace. I mean, we've seen, I forgot what team, someone had a meme up there, and I think we'll be show it later, but they're, good walls or teams will cover themselves in men that cover their man parts, cover their face, and then someone lays on the ground, and that's like the impeccable wall. And you saw 3 guys, and they all turned their back and opened their legs, and the ball went right underneath. Szczesny had no shot at that. He's expecting the wall to do the job, and at least if it goes by them and they do their job, it is what it is. But no, they went right through the wall. He had no chance whatsoever because he's guarding the other posts. So yeah, very poorly done by that wall.
Yeah. So, it's another failure, and it's just like, you want to say to Andrea Agnelli, hey, how about, looking at Ronaldo, said, "Hey, it's been great, but we got to move on, and I got to think long term about this team. And if we're going to be a fixture in Europe, we've got to come up with some different ideas." They're gonna have to for as much exposure and for as much presence as he brings, at some point, and he obviously still can give you something. He's the leading scorer in the Serie, but you're going to have to get to a point where you're going to have to make a very difficult decision surrounding a guy that's in his mid-30s too, on top of everything, and say, we got to try something different. 3 straight seasons, and you know what? Before he arrived, Juventus was reaching Champions League finals under Allegri. Mm-hmm. Let's not forget 2 of them. So it's a debacle, and before Agnelli can think about a Super League where he can, share money with all of the big clubs around Europe, he should probably worry about getting his own house in order that can go deep into this competition and prove that they can be a fixture in this, on the continent. We know they're a fixture in Italy. They're going to be year in and year out, even sitting in 3rd right now. But honestly, they've got to clean up shop, and they've got to figure out a different strategy for how they're approaching things. So that because if they want to be a fixture in Europe on a regular basis, this ain't working.
Yeah, and then the confusing thing was the whole thing with the Pirlo signing, right? And Pirlo could be the correct signing down years if you look this down the line in hindsight. But the signing to him almost looked like they're looking for the future, they're building for the future, right? But then you also have Ronaldo, who you've built for the now. And the goal was obviously win Champions League. So, the optics didn't read that you really are going for the Champions League when you bring in a young manager who doesn't have that experience. So, yeah, it's been very weird for them. They have some good pieces there, but I saw one of I forget it was BT Sport or somebody else, in the pregame match, we're talking about how Juve they had it very too easy in the league and blah, 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 blah. And it was like some stupid excuse. And I was like, you don't know what you're talking about. Just stop talking. But I think, overall with Juventus, they need to figure something out. I mean, there's some pieces there, but there are some bad pieces there too, right? Obviously, Ronaldo is a piece that probably should move. It makes more sense. Even some Juve fans, even like Juve Daily here, said maybe we just change the whole GM too and just change, a lot of things. I don't think it's a blow-up situation there with Juventus, but they need to certainly move some big pieces around, free up some space, because I think they could still be as competitive as they are, minus his 20 goals in the season without Ronaldo. I think they're a good enough team.
The money that they're dumping in, the money that they're dumping for him to be on that team right now, that money can easily get spread out, and you can get you 2 or 3 decent players, have your team be deeper. You've got Federico Chiesa, who is emerging now.
Oh yeah.
Okay. I had another phenomenal game today. You've got, if they can make Morata permanent, he's a striker that has scored at many different levels and has still got some years in him.
Yep.
Cuadrado has been Cuadrado. He had the injury that set him back a little bit, but this has been the best I've seen Juan Cuadrado play for Juventus.
Yeah. New position too this year too.
Yeah.
So De Ligt is obviously starting to come to the forefront. Demirel, he's going to get better. I think he's had a rough week and a rough last month, but he's going to merge, and imagine those two in the back line for a long time. They signed McKennie there finally to a permanent deal, and there's some pieces there. Kulusevski, he's young still. Some young guys like Ferbotta as well. So they got some pieces there. Yeah. But there's also some older pieces, some big pieces that should move and free up some space. Because I agree, you sell him and you bring in 3 other pieces who are around like 30 million euros, whatever, and you can have a pretty strong team and you could still have that depth.
Yep. Indeed. So it's it's another failure. It's to a point where I don't even like laughing at them anymore, because they talk about wanting to win this trophy, and it's just so creepy that and how they go about doing it. And they just decide Ronaldo was their all in, and they have not been able to get past. They had one season where they got to the quarterfinals, and then two seasons here where they couldn't get out of the last 16. And, some changes have to be done. Some changes have to be made. Juve's question about, do you think Milan will win the league this year? It is going to take and I said this on United Daily this morning. I said it is going to take a tragedy with Inter at this point.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to have one of their significant contributors get hurt to a level where it's going to impact them. And I'm talking about a Lukaku, a Barella, somebody of that ilk. It's theirs to lose at this point. I picked Juve to win this title this year too. So, but I think I've said enough about this situation.
Yeah. No, that's fair. That's fair. It's Juventus has been it's been a breath of fresh air for some of us today, just because we got something else to talk about, and not necessarily a good thing with this, but again, another early exit in the Champions League, and now the focus goes back to Serie for most of the teams, not all the teams, but most of the teams.
And please, and I'm not trying to rip Juve to pieces or Juventus Twitter or any of you guys.
No,
I'm different from a lot of the Calcio fans on Twitter. I want the Serie A teams to do well in Europe, because if they do well, it shines a good light on Serie A and it brings more attention to Serie A. So when the marquee team, or what's supposed to be the marquee team for this competition until Milan eventually gets back in it, can't get past the round of 16, it's a problem. It really is.
Yeah. Before we get off the Juventus topic, I do want to touch on something I think Adriano mentioned. Chiesa is playing phenomenally for Juventus, especially as of late. Will that success read over into the Azzurri? And it's interesting because we know how Mancini plays. Where would Chiesa fit? If he carried this form into the Azzurri, that would be amazing, right, for the team. But where would he fit? And I think also if you're Zaniolo and you're seeing this, you're probably like, I should just take the time off. I know you want to come back, but I mean, with Chiesa coming in form now and the pieces that are already there playing well, I think it's work on that knee, buddy, and take a extra time to make sure that's fully healthy. But Chiesa with the Azzurri, where would he fit? I'm not sure. Mancini has a big headache to worry about now, because it's someone who is obviously talented, who's in form, but how does he fit into the program?
This one's interesting, because I was actually thinking about this as the game went on, and after he scored that second goal, I thought that, look, okay, he's playing he's coming in from the left or the right hand side of a 4-4-2 that maybe morphs into a 3-5-2. Where what's available right now, what's Mancini playing? He's playing a 4-3-3, and he's been high on the right-hand side of a 4-3-3. So there are enough subtle differences in your role between those two that make it hard for me to remain convinced that he can do this for the Italian national team yet. If Mancini somehow tweaks and adapts this and decides to go with a two-striker system and goes and plays a 4-4-2, then Chiesa's your man. But Mancini has played a lot of 4-3-3 in his time as a manager, and I don't know if he's going to necessarily deviate from that. I just don't. And as a result, that means Chiesa playing in a higher position. I love seeing him run from the midfield and making those runs from the midfield, and getting into the box and getting in front of strikers who are holding balls up and things like that. I think that he thrives at that, where, starting from a higher position, that's a little bit easier for defenders to read. And I think it takes the effect of what he can do away a little bit. That's just, my own viewpoint as far as just the differences between the Juventus setup with Chiesa and what the national team setup would be with Chiesa. Mancini would have to adapt to make it work for what Chiesa is doing for Juventus right now, for him to for it to be optimal.
Yeah, that's a good shout. There's 3 other teams in Europe. Do we want to hit them now, or do we want to hit them later?
Yeah, sure. Are there the 3 other teams in the European? Well,
well, obviously the big game next week is going to be Atalanta Real Madrid, right?
Yep.
That's an enticing one. Obviously, Atalanta just came off a big game against Inter, which we'll get into later. But it's a big chance for them to really get themselves on the world stage even more. So last year was big, but you beat a team like Real Madrid, you're gonna turn some heads, right? But this is Real Madrid. What dooms most teams is that mystique, right? All those Champions League trophies, all that history. You even go back to like Di Stefano and keep. There's so much history with this club. If you look at that, it's a daunting task.
Yep.
But if you look at it as just another team, another 12 guys, 11 guys on the pitch, then you have a chance to do something special. We'll see what they can do. They're going to need to score goals, I think. It's not going to be clean sheets, despite what we saw this weekend.
Atalanta's saving grace in this is that all of their wins in the Champions League so far have been away in the group stage. They won at Midtjylland, they won at Ajax, they won at Liverpool, and they won at Anfield. And let's remember, in the time of COVID, you are just only playing. You're going there. You're only playing the 11 men that are on the pitch. You're not playing against the 70 to 75,000 fans that are going to be in there chanting and making it difficult for you.
Yeah.
All right. So in that respect, I think that might equalize things here for Atalanta. I like their chances.
I do too.
I've been wavering back and forth on this, and I think just in the spirit of Serie and banging the drum for Serie A, I'll put them through. Yeah, a 2-1 win in Madrid, they go through.
Yeah,
because they'll have the away goals tiebreaker. So I'll go with that.
Yeah,
I'll take my shot.
I think they have a very good chance of moving on past Real Madrid, just because this hasn't been a lights out Real Madrid that we've seen in the past. And so I think they have a very good chance. Ilicic and Zapata and Muriel and all the company that they bring, they need to have good games. Obviously, defensively they have to be as good as they have been as of late. Romero has been playing a lot better lately. Jamisti, Taloy, they've been better, but they need to be better, and this is going to be a big challenge for them. But I think it's certainly winnable.
Yep. So I'll go for it. It's the Real Madrid, I think, will get a couple players back that they didn't have in the first leg. I believe Benzema will be back. Sergio Ramos may be back. So that could complicate it a little bit.
Sure.
But, let's go for it. Let's get Atalanta back into the last 8. It'll be fun. Let's have them be and let's have Atalanta Porto in the last 8, and let's have a Cinderella team make it to the last 4. That would be
there. You go. That
would be sweet.
I would like to see that.
That would be something special.
Absolutely. Well, speaking of something special, another game that's going to be something special for Paulo Fonseca. It's Roma against Shakhtar in Europa League. Return against his old club. This is a game that's going to be a lot more difficult than many people are probably going to give credit for, because Shakhtar away is difficult. Fans are no fans, and just having to travel to Ukraine is always difficult. But they're also a really good team, right? We've seen that in not only this year, but in years past. They can get the job done. They always have their plethora of Brazilians that are always good that nobody knows about, and then they become household names. So this is going to be a difficult one for Roma, I think. I think their midfield needs to have, do what they do in Serie A and dominate things. Spinazzola, Karsdorp, some of these guys need to step up as well on the wings, and then they need to get goals from either Mayoral or Dzeko or whomever. It's not going to be easy against Shakhtar Donetsk.
They're a team with great European experience. They're off to a little bit of a middling start, to the season. They lost their opener to Zorya. I mean, their season just started. And I think they lost to Zorya to open the season. 10-man Zorya at that. Looking at their lineup from that game, and it was a strong one. I mean, Tyson, Marlos, Junior Marias, they were all out there. Dodo and Ismaili were out there. Trubin was in goal for them. They controlled the game. Obviously when Zorya had the red card, 53% possession, 15 chances, 10 on target. So Zorya's goalkeeper, played out of his skin. But they followed that up going out of the cup. And I'm not even going to bother pronouncing the team they lost to. And then I'll give it a shot. Arabiznes Volochisk.
Okay.
God bless you. But then the Donetsk derby, they win that 1-0. So the middling form to start the season, but it's early days, and I think that the one thing that they'll have going for them is that they're fresh. Yep. They've only played like 3 games, where Roma has been, playing quite a bit here lately. But I just named off some guys that they're going to have to get themselves prepared for, that they're going to have to deal with. this feels like a game environment. And when we talk about Roma, where are they better? They're better when they can counter. And these Shakhtar guys like having the ball a little bit. They like to be able to establish some possession, generate some chances off of it. And, I don't know if they're going to be defensively, strong enough. So I think Roma can get a win here. I think the biggest thing is the biggest question that needs to be asked here is, can they keep Shakhtar out? I think it'd be more important. I mean, obviously they want to win the game, but it's got to be a big, big priority to make sure that Shakhtar doesn't come out of this with an away goal going back to the Ukraine the following week.
That is absolutely key, I think. That's kind of what part of what did in Juve in this one. They had their own away goal themselves, but obviously, scoring some or giving up some away goals is always going to hurt even more. So,
yep.
You never want to be in a situation again like we saw tonight, where you go into overtime and then have the away goals come into effect again. I think this is certainly a winnable tie. It's going to be a difficult tie. No doubt about that. Is it as difficult as Atalanta, Real Madrid? No, but it's still pretty close. Yeah. Like you said, the fresh legs of Shakhtar certainly going to give that, and the creativity are going to give Roma some headaches. But I think if they can catch him on the counterattack, like you mentioned, and really dominate that possession, don't give him that many opportunities, you have a recipe for win in this. And I think, I can see Roma getting out of this just barely.
Yep. Let me just look at something here real quick.
Well, while you do that, I'm going to talk about the guys are talking about Haaland in the room. So, Juve Daily is saying if we get rid of Ronaldo, maybe go after Haaland. And David saying, you got to prepare over 100 million for Haaland. I actually don't think you're going to have to spend that much on Haaland because he has
a cheaper release clause than that.
He has a cheaper release clause because it's all about money for him. He doesn't really. He worked this deal into his plans, and he has been for the last several years at Salzburg, now Dortmund. The release clause is only I think 30 million euros or something cheap, 30 to 50 million euros.
That was 75.
Maybe it's more, but I think you're right, actually. But the deal for him is you have to give him and his dad and all his agent money. His dad is his agent. That's what he cares about. He cares about the pitch time and how much money you're going to give him. And so I think a team that offers the best package can guarantee him a starting spot is going to land Haaland. But every big team in Europe is going to go after him this summer. So it'll be interesting to see who can get him. I mean, whoever offers the best deal is going to get him.
Yep.
To Haaland. So anyway, back to you.
Yep. All right. I think Roma will beat Shakhtar. I think unfortunately, because I just can't trust Roma defensively, I think Shakhtar will get an away goal. I'm going to go for Roma to win 2-1.
Okay. I like it. 2-1. It's hard. Yeah, I like that scoreline. I think it's hard to trust their defense right now. So I agree.
Yep. All right. And then obviously the big one on Thursday, Man United, Milan. Just European pedigree all over the place when you talk about these two clubs, two of the most decorated clubs in world football at that. And they're playing in the Europa League. This is kind of like
2020. Wait.
This is kind of like seeing like North Carolina and UCLA in the NIT.
Yeah. They're both teams they're mirroring each other right now pretty much because they kind of had that fell from grace around the same time, both around 2011 or so. Man United had some success since then, but they both kind of fell the same way, and they kind of had their banter eras, if you will. And now they're kind of have this resurgence with the young players and younger, not younger managers. Pioli's an old man, but they're very similar to each other in that respect. It should be a very interesting chess match. I think it will. The tactic between Solskjaer and Pioli will have to be big in this. I think Pioli needs to outsmart Solskjaer, and I think it's going to be interesting how the teams defend each other's offense because obviously there's some talent on both ends and. Who can keep out the other is going to be the success, the key to success in this one. Obviously, there's no fans in the crowd, so that's not going to sway anything. So it's going to be a very difficult match. United has playing better lately as opposed to Milan. So we'll see how the forms if that carries on into that match or not. But it has all the makings of a classic tie in a Europa League.
Yep, it sure does. I'll kind of give some cliff notes on what Santangelo and I talked about on the United Daily Pod. This is a game where you wish Milan would have Benacer because of his role in that double pivot where when Milan get into when they have to defend in their third, he's usually picking up the danger midfielder. And in this case, he would be shadowing Bruno a little bit. So now Pioli has to make some kind of an adjustment there. With the lack of options available and with a lot of these injuries, Teo can come back from the bone bruise, which that's one of those nagging kind of things that you don't know. It's like on the day of, you're going to know whether or not they can use him. That's where the creativity is going to come from. That's where they can potentially unbalance United with his ability to bomb forward and make those runs. If not, they got to depend on Dallo to do it again. There's no dribblers to pull United apart defensively. So Milan could end up looking rather predictable here. Leao is a guy that could probably get you off balance a little bit when he's on his game and when he's invested, but he's going to probably be the striker in this setup. So that takes those things away. So you're wondering where is it going to come from with Milan? And I jokingly said on the podcast, they're going to get a penalty. So
yeah. Two teams are known for penalties, right? It might be
penalties
in this game.
Yep. I think for Milan, if they're really invested in this and want to win this tie, the first 30 minutes of this game are critical. If they can keep United out in those first 30 minutes, they're going to give themselves a chance. If they can find a way to get an away goal, they're going to give themselves a great chance. They don't have to worry about Marcus Rashford. Sounds like he's not going to play. I think Bruno will start just because they're going to need his creativity in the midfield for Man United. So that's something that Milan are going to have to guard against. I like Milan's chances more if the center back pairing is Tomori and Romagnoli, not Kjaer and Romagnoli. And I say that because, Romagnoli, I think the issue with him is that he takes some risks, that Tomori has the athleticism to be able to support and recover. Kjaer, for all of his positioning and his expertise and experience, just doesn't have, Tomori's range. And I think you're going to need Tomori's athleticism out there. And you want to play Kjaer and Tomori out there together, I think that would be fine too. But
I think that Tomori has to be the anchor piece to this defense in the short term, because I think you're right. He complements both players so well. Yeah. He can make up for the deficiencies. And so when he's not out there, Romagnoli and Kjaer together were fantastic, but obviously they haven't been working as of late. And Tomori has looked good with Romagnoli lately, and obviously with Kjaer as well. So I think Tomori has to be the fulcrum right now between both of them. Shifting between the league and Europa League. So
we said that Matt and I thought Man United will win 2-1 on Thursday, and if Milan got that away goal, they're not going to be bothered by that result at all, and they're going to be in a position that 1-0 is going to be good enough at the San Siro for them, and that they could go through to the last 8. And the lineups are going to tell the story for both of these teams to see how invested they're going to be in this thing. So that's the other thing that you have to consider. The last 16, you're at those crossroads. I mean, what are your priorities? Is your priorities top 4? Because United also have some very big games coming up in terms of their efforts to try to seal up a place for the Champions League next season too. Milan have to turn around and play Napoli after this.
Both clubs again are similar, right? Because both of them have the league pretty much out of hand. They can't get it. I mean, obviously Man City is way ahead of everybody, but Inter are have a sizable lead over Milan at the moment. And if at their current form, you would expect it'd be difficult to catch up to them. So both teams just want to make sure they secure up Champions League for next year. So where both these clubs maybe face off next year, but who knows?
Yep. So I think United win the first leg 2-1. And I as a Milan fan will not be bothered by that. I'll take that, and I'll take that going into the second leg.
I'll go score draw.
Score draw? That's a possible outcome too. I could see 1-1.
Yeah,
very very easily here.
Yeah.
So. Yep. All right. Well, let's get on to what actually happened in the league in Serie A, and probably Richard, no better place to start at than the top, right?
Yeah, some games of the week, right? And it was a big matchup, a lot of big matchups this weekend. But the game that that really was a headliner, I think, was Inter hosting Atalanta. Many wondered, this is the game where could Inter assert themselves as the quote unquote favorite for the Scudetto, right? Or would Atalanta, with their attack, find a way to beat Inter and then throw themselves into the ring for the Scudetto? This is the match we all want to see, right? The offense versus Conte's tactics. This game was a very interesting game. It was a very low-scoring game. The lone goal would come in the 54th minute through Milan Skriniar, but first half, Inter looked very shaky. Atalanta doing very well to get some their opportunities in the first half, and then toward the second half, Inter started imposing their will a little bit more. They got that nice goal, scrappy goal through Milan Skriniar. If he didn't score, it would have been a penalty on Bastoni. He was taken down in the box. They scored that goal, and after that, it was just Inter's territory. They let Atalanta have the ball, countered when they wanted to. They had some good opportunities on the counter. Atalanta created a lot of opportunities. Handanovic had a fantastic save. It's something about him in these big games as of late. He's been amazing, right? A huge save. And I forget, I think it was on Taloy or I forget who, Duvan Zapata, excuse me. Okay. And then shortly after that, Brozovic on the goal line save against, I think it was Taloy anyway. Really good stuff by the defense of Inter. They look rejuvenated. It seems like the two biggest outcasts for their team, and I'm talking about Eriksson and Skriniar, have all of a sudden emerged in the last couple of weeks, gaining the confidence of Conte, and they've come back and paid him in full, right, with the big derby goal for Eriksson, and then obviously Skriniar here in this game against Atalanta. Inter, they did what they had to do. They played Inter-style ball, Conte ball, as the Interisti are saying, and they take full control of the Scudetto at the moment, and very well done. I mean, two good lineups in this one. You're curious to see what kind of lineups these teams would have. Mr. Gasparini, he just has these. You never know what he's going to do with his lineups. We've talked about it numerous times. It's hard to predict who's going to put out there because, logic says you're going to put Zapata and Muriel out there. Gasparini says, nah, I don't like that. I'm going to do something different. I'll put Ceane out there. So you never know with that, but it doesn't matter with them. They can always bring it. Inter, again, strong defense against a formidable attack. Not many teams can claim they shut out Atalanta. So well done to Inter. I mean, where do you want to start with this game? This game was just ahead. It was a big time, heavyweight bout. I mean, everything we thought was going to be just one goal.
Yeah. I thought there would be goals in this game. I went on Alex's radio show on Friday, and I said over 3.5 was in the plus 160 range, which got Alex. I hope you didn't lose a lot of money on that one. So I only make suggestions. It's not recommendations. And I'm not responsible. You're the one pushing the button. That's right. My disclaimer. Same thing if we ever cover DraftKings Serie slates here. So at the end of the day, you're the one pushing the button.
That's right. It's your money.
Yeah. So I think that Antonio Conte set his team up a specific way to deal with what Atalanta were going to do going forward. It was evident when he started Arturo Vidal and not Christian Eriksen. He went for the guy who will bite. He didn't. And
it looked early on in that first half that maybe that was the wrong move, right? Because Vidal was looking like he was getting caught out in different places, but all of a sudden you see he grew into the game as you expect. He is a big game player. Full credit to Conte, on short rest to get this team ready, knowing the tactics of Atalanta and really, doing well to mitigate all their threats. So. Yeah, great job by Inter. I mean, they're in first place, deservedly so. And at this point, with the lead that they have, many Interisti who've been scared to call the Scudetto theirs are starting to say, "Yeah, I think this is our year." And it's for good reason. The team is playing very, very well at the moment. So hard to fault them for to sticking their chest out a little bit more and being confident with this team going down the stretch.
But I also want to call out credit to Atalanta's back three. I thought they did a phenomenal job on Lukaku and
timely save. Romero was fantastic in this game.
I thought this was Romero's best game in an Atalanta shirt.
Absolutely.
By far. I thought James City was really good. Toloi was good.
Yep.
It came down to a set piece. It came down to a failure to act on a second ball for Atalanta. All right. And that was Inter's only shot on target in the game. So that's what happened. And, and then when that happened, you knew exactly what Conte would, Conte at that point, because it was in 66 minutes, he said, all right, I got the goal. You got to come and get us now. So
that's right. That's his wheelhouse right there.
I mean, it was like extremely similar to Conte's 2016 Italy.
Yeah. Yep.
Only this Inter team is far more talented than the 2016 Italy. Yeah. Conte went with the 2016. We're no good. Our best shot at winning is shithousing people, and that's what we're going to do. We're going to, and they did that against Belgium and against Spain. So here, he did the same thing. Atalanta were pushing hard. Yeah, they were pushing hard at the end, but a lot of what Atalanta were doing, Inter were prepared for, and they were well positioned to deal with. I think that was a brilliant setup and organization by Antonio Conte.
What'd you make of the not starting of we're used to not seeing Muriel start, right? That's obvious, but Ilicic not starting in this one. It's Malinovsky that started over Ilicic. What was your thoughts on that? Was there, I don't know if there was a reason for it, maybe just Gasperini tweaking things and hoping to have a fresher Ilicic down the stretch. I don't know, but I would have liked to see your best player out there on the pitch to begin with and see what he can do, especially because if you're going to get a team, it's going to be early in the match and before they really grow into the match and get into it. And Inter were susceptible in the first half, so if they had Ilicic, it could have made a difference.
It's weird, really. It's probably the only way I can describe it. You can't play in this setup, in this 3-4-2-1 setup. You can't play Ilicic. It's hard to play Ilicic and Malinovsky together. Okay. Yep. So you play one or the other. You give Malinovsky this. Malinovsky was coming back to fitness. I think he was flashing some form too. Scored that great goal.
Yeah.
When was it? Not midweek, but I think it was, and it was a rotational thing. Ilicic played against Crotone, played nearly 90 minutes. So I think that there was something, to be said about that happening too. He's a huge believer in Matteo Pessina, which there's no shame in that. He's a decent player. And I think Pessina is carving out his role and improving. I don't think he's improving at the rate that probably Atalanta fans would demand. I think that, they're looking, who's the Papu Gomez now, now that he's gone. But, Pessina, for what he offers and for what his skill set, it has actually been useful for Atalanta. So it's not a bad combination. I think when you look at it, though, and you look at what he's accomplished, Ilicic would have made a lot more sense to start the game and try to do some damage. But I think, he went for, let me go with Malinovsky. Let me see what I can get out of this. And then a 0-0 or 1-0 down environment, he can bring on Ilicic against a Inter team that had been defending for long periods of time and bring something a little different.
Yeah.
I think all the way about the 1995 Champions League final when Milan lost to Ajax, and Milan went for it like crazy in the first half, could have gotten a goal out of it, exerted a ton of energy, didn't score, and then Capello, as the game wore on, Capello just dropped him further and further back, and that's when Van Gaal made the move and brought on guys like Kanu, brought in Kluivert didn't start the game. He came off the bench, and ended up scoring the winning goal. So I think that Gasperini maybe took the same approach. I said, I've got some very lethal quality players that this game is still going to be close with 25 minutes left. Let me bring them on to play 25 minutes as hard as they can against a team that's already invested 65 minutes.
Right.
Sometimes that works to a T, like in 95 with Van Gaal and with Ajax, and sometimes it doesn't get there for you. And in this case, it didn't get there.
Yep. Yeah, you're right. All right.
So, all right. So that was Inter at the top of the table, knocking off Atalanta. And the loss for Atalanta means that they're in fifth now, a point behind Roma. So there's not any reason to panic at this point. But nonetheless, out of the Champions League places for now, with 12 games remaining. Hellas Verona hosting Milan. That was the big game on Sunday. The storylines were Milan coming off a disappointing draw against Atalanta, and let me get on my soapbox about that, because when I kind of gave it a little bit more perspective and a little bit more thought, and kind of took a look at what Udinese has been doing over the last several weeks, that draw didn't look so bad. Something
else looked bad in that game, though. But
they drew Atalanta. Prior to this, they drew Atalanta, they drew Inter, they beat Napoli, and we'll talk about them beating Sassuolo here at the weekend too. So their run has actually been quite impressive. They had just an awful display against Napoli that cost them. So, but otherwise, it was when you look at kind of Udinese's form and what they've been up against and the results they've been getting, that 1-1 wasn't really that much to be ashamed of.
Sure.
When you look at it in the big picture. But with all of the injuries, and with what Hellas Verona had been up to lately, there was some genuine concern from Milan fans about this team putting out a banter era similar lineup. Really was the way I described it, with Donnarumma, Calabria, Tomori, Romagnoli, Dallo,
That was
and
harsh.
then it was Kessie Maite double pivot, Castillejo, Krunic, Salamakers, and then Rafael Leao up front, with Verona coming out with Lasagna, with Berak and Zaccagni behind him, Lazovic again starting for Di Marco, Faraoni. So some very talented players, Miguel Veloso in the midfield. Yeah. So, but it would be a Rade Krunic goal, which is my goal of the week in the 27-minute, just upper 90. Krunic De Bruyne with the brilliant finish, right?
Right.
Putting Milan up in the with a 1-0 lead, and it was actually a very good performance from Milan in the first half. Second half, and it was kind of funny. I was sitting there thinking at halftime. I said, you know what, this game screams for Teo, because watching Dallo in the first half, there just seemed to be a tentativeness with him going forward. Like he only it was like the front third of the pitch for Milan was like this abyss for him, that if he he was just going to fall.
Didn't want to overcommit and then get caught out.
Right. So what happens? One of the first attacks, he decides to bomb forward, and it was a nice little bit of team play that ends up arriving to him, scores a great goal first time after doing a little bit of a body feint to get away from the defender. Made it 2-0 to the Rossoneri, and winning this was a team performance from Milan when they needed it. To continue to solidify their position here in second. Thoughts on this performance from the Rossoneri?
Yeah, I think you hit it right. It was a team performance in this one. We saw 2 goals from, who on this earth, even including Krunic and Dallo, would say that, hey, both those guys are going to score. Those guys who never score. Maybe Krunic has been playing better in the last few games, and I think that long shot he had on target last week really had boosted his confidence. But both those, Krunic played pretty well in this game. The whole team, had a good game overall as a unit. I thought Romagnoli played better with Tomori out there. Obviously, those two together work very well. Tomori is just a fantastic player, and that we're seeing, and hopefully, for Milan's sake, that they can acquire him permanently. But yeah, you saw, Calabria there doing his thing, and Miete was decent. Leao had some opportunities. So yeah, it was a good team effort, I thought, and well done for them. And then it was a big win. Once they got up 2-0, you saw Juric pretty much taking out all his horses, right? Zaccagni came out, Berak came out. It was pretty much just swapping guys in and out. At that point, pretty much conceded that they lost that game, and that's full credit to Milan, because they found ways to get those 2 goals, 2 big goals. 2 very well taken goals, and it's for the run that they've been on, it's been very, very difficult for them. This is a big win for them, because kind of relaxes them a little bit, right? And now they're, like I said, firmly in second place with 4 points up on Juventus at the moment, and they needed it too, because had they got a draw or even a loss in this one, it could have made that locker room a lot more difficult. And I think Hellas ultimately are going to be kicking themselves that didn't have a better result, but they're, in the grand scheme of things, they're still in a good spot. They're not, they want to be in the Europa League spot, obviously, but there are worse results they could have had, I guess. The team didn't play too bad, I guess. Obviously they want goals, they want to win, but it is what it is.
Really puts Hellas Verona in trouble at this point in terms of any prospects of finishing top 7.
Yeah. Unless they want to run somehow in these last 12 games or something, which is possible.
Yeah. 5 points out of 7th again, behind Lazio. They still have Lazio have a game in hand on them, which it looks like top 7 goes now, because with Juve and Atalanta in the Coppa Italia final, that's already a European place solidified in some shape, form, or fashion. So, so 7th is going to get in now. So you're taking a look at that as a European place. And for Verona, this is an opportunity missed for them. And I think that, as great a job as Ivan Juric has done, and with what Verona has and some of the quality that they have. I think that, and we had this issue last year. I think there was like during the break, it was against Napoli. It was a home game against Napoli where they win that and they're in a really good position to maybe finish out into one of these European places. They lose at home 2-0. The same result here. There is a really hard ceiling with Hellas Verona, which is what we're learning about them here over the last couple of seasons.
Yeah, and they brought in Kevin Lasagna and to hopefully kind of raise that bar a little bit. He's been struggling to acclimate with the team, and it'll happen when you go to a new team, especially when you've been with one club for so long.
Yeah.
But I think for this season, I think they're really capped, and if they can find a way to keep Lasagna and have some success with the guys that they have, and they can keep the other pieces, they can maybe raise that ceiling. But that's a big question mark. Last year we saw them lose a lot of talented guys. You would expect the same thing to happen this offseason with guys like Ceane and Di Marco and some of these other guys. So their ceiling is not very high. It depends on very strong defense that Juric has been breathing down their necks for the last few years. That's going to be the bread and butter, right? Defense and get your goals, be opportunistic.
Yep.
Hopefully Lasagna brings more goals.
Yep. We'll see what their fortunes look like here going forward. Let's just take a look at Verona's next few games here. At Sassuolo, which is a huge game for both teams right now in terms of sizing up any potential European prospects either of them have. I mean, it's going to be this is last chance saloon for both of them. Loser is definitely out of contention for those places. Then they host Atalanta. Then they're at Cagliari. Then they host Lazio, which could end up being a massive game for them in terms of their prospects, because if they can beat Sassuolo, if they can get 6 points out of Sassuolo, Atalanta, Cagliari. So they beat Sassuolo, they beat Cagliari. They're in a decent position going in against Lazio. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens with them. But it looks like they've hit that hard ceiling yet again. But 12 games left, you never know.
Yeah. And since you mentioned Lazio was in our other game of the week. It was Juventus hosting Lazio. A lot right on the line in this one. Lazio have been the Juventus killers in the last few years. Lazio obviously needing a win to help them propel them maybe back into talks of joining the Champions League talk. But they would need a win in this one, and Juve obviously trying to keep pace with the two Milanese clubs, and so the scoring started very early. The lineups were fairly straightforward in this one. Demirel get another start in this one. He though gets abused on the first goal. Joaquin Correa just step over after step over and get a lovely goal past Szczesny. Lazio take the early lead. They had some opportunities through SMS and some free kicks and some other opportunities as well that they're going to end up ruining because not being able to capitalize on a team like Juventus will come back to bite you. Before they got to halftime, Adrien Rabiot got a goal, pulled it back to make a 1-1. Just on the other side of the break, Alvaro Morata would get a goal in the 57th minute. 3 minutes later, a penalty, a legit penalty. I don't know what the hell the defender was thinking to taking out his man, and Morata steps up, scores a penalty. 3-1 Juventus win, an emphatic win against Lazio. Yeah, Lazio ruined the opportunities they missed in that first half. SMS played very well, but he missed some great chances. Some other guys missed as well. And just a difficult game for them. Immobile not scoring a goal. On this one where you thought, he's been struggling as of late, and unfortunately nobody else is really stepping up at the moment like they need him to. Milinkovic-Savic is Alberto, but you need, Joaquin Correa, who did score in this one. Fares didn't do much. It wasn't enough. And obviously, Chiesa playing the way he's been playing lately, it's not going to make it easy for you. And Juve get a big win, which, before today, it looked like a very very good news for Pirlo and his team. But sticking to this game, what were your thoughts on this game overall?
Well, Juventus played with a lot more freedom.
Yeah.
When they went forward with the ball, and I think it's because there's a certain player that wasn't in there that they're not having to force things through, or they're not trying to seek him out for the goals. And I don't want to get too crazy on that topic, but because there haven't been many games where Ronaldo didn't play, so this could have been just a one-off where everybody figured it out, and next game they might miss him if they don't use him. So it's one of those things. Getting Juan Cuadrado back was very important, obviously, as it set the tone for the performance that he had in this game, in this Champions League game. It was, again, more Federico Chiesa brilliance. Alvaro Morata finishing, which got it done. I mean, in Lazio scoring in Lazio fashion, Juve screwed up and Lazio pounced. And that seems to be how they get their goals, isn't it? I thought that if Lazio, I felt like Lazio was going to score in this game, and I said that's exactly how they're going to score. They're gonna pounce on something and they're gonna create something out of it. Correa did that; it was well taken, But as Rabiot got that goal before halftime, and then a clinical counterattack, then where Chiesa played in Morata, really setting the tone for the second half. And then it was all of a sudden Lazio's turn to have the ball and Juve's turn to defend it. It just flipped because Lazio was doing the defending and sitting back when they had the lead, right? And then Rabiot scores 1-1. Game gets balanced. Juve gets a quick second. Lazio sees more of the ball, can't carve anything excellent out of it. And then Juve gets the penalty to kill it off. Good overall team performance by Juve to win this game.
Yeah. 2 goal of the week candidates between Rabiot and Morata as well. Very well taken. Earlier when we were talking about Juventus in Europe, we talked about, maybe getting rid of Ronaldo, $100 million man. How about Dybala as well? I mean, they're not using him like, you think they would need, and then don't want to get rid of him, get that money also for him and use it towards, some more players, some more depth, That's 2 players that you could really offload and really help bring in, more talent to the team than what they have. 2 guys in exchange for possibly 5 guys, who knows? That might be the way to go.
I don't hate the idea. I really don't. I mean, because they're playing better. Even before this debacle today, they had some good performances going in. And Pirlo looked like he was figuring out in a couple of occasions. The Spezia win is a great example where he made his adjustments and then they eventually took control of the game.
And they were tightening the title race too. People were forgetting before tonight. It was before Inter won against Atalanta. It was becoming a really close race because all of a sudden it was not just the 2 Milan clubs. It was also Juventus are thrust back into the spotlight. Obviously now with the win for Inter, that's different, but they had been playing well. You're right.
Yep, that's for sure. So, in Lazio, when their best players aren't getting it. I mean, we talked about this 2 seasons ago when Milinkovic-Savic and Luis Alberto were underperforming. It resonated with the rest of the team, and they finished 8th. Now you got Immobile struggling for goals. Milinkovic-Savic is playing great. You're getting indifferent form out of Luis Alberto now. I thought he was all right in this game.
Yeah.
It was a disappointing performance from their back 3. They've got some injuries too along their back 3 as well. They're deputizing guys who are normally wing backs. I mean, in this game it was Marusic. It looks like he was playing among a back 3 with Hut and Acerbi. Yeah. So,
and he's
that's
not
ideal. Yep.
Yeah,
that's not ideal.
No, far from it. Far from it there. And having. I know a lot of Laziale are hating on Morici at the moment because he's not getting the goals. Caicedo's not getting as many minutes, so he's not getting the goals, and it's difficult at the moment. You're struggling in the front, you're struggling in the back, and there's always so much. The rest of it you can do. The midfielders can only do so much, right? Sergei Milinkovic-Savic is not going to carry a team to many wins. So yeah, you need some help from support staff, and unfortunately, when your big horses, Immobile in this case, is not performing at optimal levels, it just makes it much more difficult when no one else steps up.
Yep. So those are the big 3 that went on this week in Serie A. Let me get to the rest of them here. It started on Saturday with Spezia and Benevento playing to a 1-1 draw. Benevento opening the scoring. Adolfo Gajic from Nicolas Viola. Nicolas Viola, remember that name, okay? Because he's been solid for them, since joining. But Gajic getting the goal to make it 1-0. Daniele Verdi, after some scrambling around in the penalty area, opportunistic goal for him in the 71st. 1-1 draw there. Spezia had 73% possession in this game, Richard. Benevento with only 2 shots on goal, one of them going in, the goal from Gajic, which was a nice little individual effort. Udinese and Sassuolo. Udinese get it done. They win 2-0. This makes Milan drawing them not look so bad, as I mentioned. Fernando Llorente from Nahuel Molina in the 42nd minute. The game would get put away after some really nice work from Rodrigo de Paul, some actually nice team play here. And the beneficiary being Roberto Pereira, getting a 2-0 win there. Sassuolo had 72% possession in this game. Could only get 2 shots on target. Udinese clearly playing on the counter and looking deadly in the process. So big win for Udinese there. Roma against Genoa, 1-0 to Roma. Gianluca Mancini jumping over one of the guys who I think is one of the worst defenders in Serie A, Andrea Masiello. Easy goal for him there. Roma outshot Genoa 17-6. Got to expect that against the Davide Ballardini Genoa. One of the fun bad game of the week, Crotone 4, Torino 2. Opening up with Simi with a penalty in the 27th minute. Rolando Mondragora from Ansaldi just before halftime in the 45th minute. Simi would get a brace in the 54th minute. Some really nice goals getting scored in this, starting with Arkadiusz Reccia. Nice finish from him in the 80th minute. And then Antonio Sanabria maybe bettering that in the 84th minute and giving Torino a chance to get back in this game, down 3-2. And then it was Adam Unas with another great goal. 4-2 to Crotone in this game. 36 shots between the two teams in this game. So
I don't know if you saw the build-up to the Unas goal, right? So it was at the end of the game, and Unas is really trying to run up the clock and playing the ball in the corner, and he gets taken out, and the tempers flare. They're going at each other. Red card ended up given to Rincon, or I forget who did give it to. I forget. I think it was Rincon. Yeah. And then ensuing kickoff or ensuing kick. Unas ended up just taking up the whole team pretty much one-on-one and just goes through and just scores a worldly goal, going through everyone on the touchline basically. Well done. It's like, screw you guys. This is my turf right here. Well done on that goal. Just a fun game to watch. Yeah,
fun game to watch. If you had a chance to watch it, you were definitely in for a treat. Another fun game to watch is Fiorentina and Parma. 3-3 here, 28th minute. Lucas Martinez Cuarta heading home a corner from Eric Pulgar, and then in the 32nd minute, Juraj Kučka on the spot with another penalty from him. You know that Juraj Kučka has like 20 career Serie A goals and 25 of them are penalties?
Doesn't surprise me.
That's all he does. He's like the Frank Kessie. He's like a poor man's Frank Kessie. He runs around, and then when penalties come up, he takes them. So
smart.
Nikola Milenkovic in the 42nd minute, putting Fiorentina ahead 2-2. There wouldn't be any more goals until the 72nd minute. Jasmin Kurtic leveling for the visitors. And then Parma think they have this game won in the 90th minute. Your boy, Roberto Inglese, playing the ball across to Valentin Mihaila, making it 3-2. But this is Parma. This is the king of dropping points this season. And, of course, poor Simone Jacoponi, an own goal in the 94th minute. Parma literally, Parma can't get out of their own way.
This is 16 games in a row that they haven't won. They haven't got a win in 16 games, or they're turning to Schalke.
Yeah, they really are.
Pretty bad for them. My goodness.
They might beat Schalke. You got to be careful, Richard. I don't mean to throw shade on your boys that are over there in Germany.
I can make that reference, okay?
I'll let you say that from now on. I shouldn't take that away from you.
That's right.
Sampdoria Cagliari 2-2 here, João Pedro in the 11th minute. That put Cagliari ahead 1-0. Bartosz Berezynski with a great goal, and I had this on my short list because of the ball from Gaston Ramirez. To play him in to make it 1-1 there. And then a great goal from Manolo Gabbiadini.
Yep.
Just 2 minutes later in the 80th minute to make it 2-1. But the goal of the week candidate that comes out of this game was in the 96th minute. Rajan Angalan from 35 yards out, belting one. His first goal of the season.
Shocking.
Well, I mean, he rode the pine for Inter for the first half of the season, so it's kind of not surprising. But 2-2 draw there. Statistics of note from that game, 21 total shots in this game between the two teams. So Napoli 3, Bologna 1. Believe it or not, Napoli had more of the ball in this game. Napoli hitting on the counter. Lorenzo Insigne played in from great little flick on from Piotr Zielinski in the 8th minute. Tough news here, though, for Napoli, and tough news for Fauzi Gulam. And I don't know how much more of a career he has left after his latest injury.
Third, right? This is third ACL.
Yeah. Yeah, it could be over for him, and it's a real shame. For a left back, a real technician on the ball, especially with his crossing ability. So, but nonetheless, it was Napoli on the counter all day, every day. 65th minute, evidence of that. Zielinski, that man again, setting up. This time, Victor Osimhen scoring a man's goal.
Yeah,
to put Napoli up 2-0. Napoli does give Bologna a lifeline, kind of fumbles around with some possession. Skov Olsen finding Roberto Soriano to make it 2-1. But just 3 minutes later, Lorenzo Insigne restores the 2-goal lead for the Partenopei. A brace for him. Again, Bologna with 57% possession, 30 total shots in this game, Richard. So those were the magnificent 7 that were not part of the 3 big games of match week 26. Where do you want to start?
Yeah, with Napoli, at least to start with the last game. Good to see Osimhen back on the score sheet. Brilliant goal of the week candidate there. I expected a lot more from Mihalevic's men, but it's always going to be difficult against a team like Napoli who just boss possession all the time and have some good quality when they don't have possession, right? They can find ways on the counterattack as they did in this game. So, it's good to see him back on the score sheet. Hopefully Napoli can get back into the rhythm that they had when they first started the season with him, because they played some fantastic football to start. That's a pretty entertaining game there. The Sampdoria Cagliari game was very entertaining. Some good goals in that game, and like that you mentioned. I mean, I think all 4 goals were fantastic goals in that game, honestly. Berezinski getting his first goal was freaking thumper. Gabbiadini from distance. João Pedro as well with a beautiful play. So yeah, I mean that was just a fun game to watch, and ultimately I think that game against Crotone and Torino, that was another fun game too. It was 2 teams who you would not expect it. And it really, Torino are my losers of the week because it's Crotone. You gave up 4 goals to Crotone. You should not do that. I mean, that Una's goal was something special, but I mean, the rest of those goals, I mean, you got to do better than that. I mean, come on, Torino. They're hurting right now, and not a good way to end the weekend there for them. So yeah, I don't know.
Nope, definitely not. The takeaways for me, Sassuolo now in real trouble. I think that they probably peaked a little too soon, and then I think that they fell victim to just the run that Udinese are on. If I pull up Udinese's last few games here, as I continue to advocate for justifying why that draw is not terrible, their recent form, Udinese, and it wasn't Napoli they gacked against. At Roma they lost 3-0. But look at this list for Udinese. They beat Sassuolo 2-0, drew Milan, beat Fiorentina 1-0. Okay, Fiorentina stinks. They rallied from 2-0 down against Parma to draw 2-2. Beat Hellas Verona, beat Spezia, drew Inter, drew Atalanta. I mean, these are solid teams. Where there's just 1 loss there over the space of 9 games. So it's an Udinese side that's accumulating points, and making themselves a threat for top half. They're not gonna push for Europe. It's a little bit out of their reach. But the way they're running and the way they've got this team going right now, a top half finish for Udinese is not out of the question.
Yeah, and Stricker Larson looked like a man possessed in this game. Maybe just trying to make up for his oopsies against Milan, right? But yeah, no, Udinese are playing a lot better now, and it's good because they're a team we want to see in Serie A, and they have pieces there. Are they, Europa League type level players? Maybe not, but they're good enough. And Rodrigo De Paul, he's been there forever, and he is a fantastic player. So no, they've been playing really, really well lately. I thought they would struggle with the loss of Kevin Lasagna. But no, they just pick up the pieces. They've actually been playing a lot better since he's been gone. So yeah, no, good for them. About time.
Yep. Bologna have what do you make? And they're just strange, They can beat lots, I mean, and Napoli, Napoli have a lot of quality, but I mean, this is a decent Bologna team. There's good players here. They had that tough loss at Cagliari where I think Cragno had a big game against them. And then you look at this Napoli game. I mean, they host Sampdoria next, then they go to Crotone before hosting Inter. I mean, they're sitting on 28 points right now. So they're fine. All right. Especially because Torino can't figure out how to win. Parma can't figure out how to hang on to points, so on the surface, 28 points is okay, but they're another team that I just feel like are still, and we talked about this at the beginning of the season, still underachieving just a little too much.
They are. I mean, they're a team that you could argue that they should be, with the talent that they have, could be a challenge for a Europa League spot with the talent they have, with the manager that they have. But for some reason, they are just so perplexing. I mean, you said it right, and it's hard to figure them out, really. And I kind of want to segue to this question that we got about. So this person on Twitter says Mr. SU football, Syracuse football, and he's trying to pick a team that he wants to support, right? First he says, Benevento or Spezia or Bologna. And normally I want to say Bologna because, look at the players that they have, the manager, they're a fun team to watch, but they're inconsistent, right? They're frustrating. I'm like, I can't figure it out. I can't wrap my head around Bologna. Like 1 week you think they're going to get beaten. They beat Lazio. I didn't expect that. And then, weeks like this where you think they should be, make it difficult for the opponent, and then they don't. And it's hard to peg it with them. Obviously, they have some good players like Musa Barrow. We know that he should start, but it's just mind-blowing with him. So I don't know if between those three teams, I don't even know if you would pick, Bologna in this case. I mean, my case probably be with, you'd probably go with Benevento maybe because they got, obviously, Inzaghi. It's near and dear to both of us. They play more attractive football. Bologna can, but they're just so inconsistent. It's just going to be a heartache week in and week out because you never know what you're going to get, right? I don't know.
I would say Spezia. Their
blue jerseys are beautiful, by the way. Spezia.
Yeah, they are. I would say Spezia. The only concern that I have is you're seeing a lot of the English-speaking Calcio heads talking about Italiano is the manager. Italiano, is
not the language,
destined for a bigger gig. With the job that he's been doing, with the football that he plays, it's attractive. I mean, and he's turned out some pretty good players. I love Jossi. I think he's a very good player.
Yeah,
Estevez in the midfield is good. And Zola we've talked about. He's got some players in that team. He's got some promising talent, and he's molded it and he's gotten them to play a specific way. Now, they're not totally out of the weeds as far as survival yet. They're still they still have a fight on their hands. Yeah. But they're in a decent position at the moment. So I would if you told me that all those guys would stay
ahead of them. Bologna put 2 points ahead of them, so
yeah. If you told me that all those guys would stay and Italiano would stay as manager, I would say Spezia.
Yeah. No, that's a good shout. And if you're in the chat right now, let us know, who would you pick if you had to start over and pick a team to support? Would it be Benevento, Spezia, or Bologna? I mean, all three.
I'm actually going to put this to a poll here. Actually, maybe you might want to throw that up there on our Serie A Sitdown Twitter.
Okay, we'll do.
You're new into Serie A. Pick from. You're new to Serie A. You need to support a team, but you can only pick from one of these three teams.
Yeah, no, that's good.
Let's see what people say.
It's difficult. I mean, if you look at the table right now, it's only 2 points separate in all three teams. They're not. None of them are out of the weeds of being relegated. Bologna seemed like it would be the logical choice, but they're very frustrating to watch. Do you want to have? I mean, all three, I guess, would give you the heartache, I guess. But you think Spezia? I think Spezia is a very good shout. I like the way Benevento play personally. I think it's while it's never an easy game for them, they're going to make it entertaining, whether for them or the opposition, right? So I like that. I like the way Inzaghi has his team playing. They played obviously very well in Serie B. And they started out this season. I mean, both Spezia and Benevento are playing above expectations this season because both are obviously promoted, and many thought both these clubs were probably the teams that were not going to escape. Probably all three teams, right? And so far, only Crotone is the one who's looking really poor at the moment. So, I mean, I think Spezia. I mean, any of these teams you pick would be good. There's obviously some good prospects with Bologna. There's some good choices there. I mean, the talent. If you're looking at talent alone, Bologna is the team to go. Mihajlovic is a fantastic story. Front to back, it's just talent on this team, but they're very underperforming. They're not as bad as Fiorentina, but they're very underperforming. And so, do you want to support that? Do you want to support a team like Spezia, who is punching way above their weight? Fantastic manager, got some young and up and coming players. Or go to a team like Benevento, who just don't care who they play. They just want to play their style of football, whether it's good or bad. So it's an interesting question. I'm curious what people are going to say, about that. So Tyler Sharma says, I think Mihajlovic will figure something out. Hopefully he does. He's figuring out the wardrobe. So let's see if he can figure it out on the pitch. Right?
Boy, the Saputos would really have to be, if they felt like Bologna was underachieving to a level where they might need to have somebody with some new ideas. Considering everything that Mihajlovic is, boy, that is a delicate situation, isn't it?
It certainly is, right? It's I don't know. You got to treat that with kid gloves. You almost have to give at least another season. Give him another year because it's
I agree.
Super cruel to let him go, given everything he's gone through.
I mean, and he's wearing Air Jordans on the side. Yeah. I mean, just for that, you got to let him have it.
Was that Tar Heel blue he's wearing? I don't know. It was this interesting outfit for sure.
He was managing Milan. He was dressed like a waiter. I think I made that comment. He had that shiny red vest. He one of those as Mihajlovic was dressed like he should be bringing fresh bread to my table. It's
I'm waiting for him to wear that Michael Jackson red leather jacket. That's what's next for him, I think.
He'd be the one to do it too.
Yeah, absolutely, with the Air Jordans.
So we'll see. So we'll put that poll up, and I'm curious to see how that turns out. So if you had to do it all over again and followed Serie A and could only support one of these three teams, which one is it? Spezia, Bologna, or Benevento? Let's see what we got there. All right, let's move on to goals of the week.
Goals of the week. I have half the goals of this thing. Why don't you go first in this one?
Richard is going to be a participation medal guy and just get all 32 goals.
All 32 goals equal.
Are going to make goal of the week this week.
Number one.
All right. So I have 1, 2, 3. I got to pick a fifth. All right. So fifth for me is I'm going to go with Insigne with the Zielinski back heel.
Okay.
As my number 5.
Probably pass, yeah.
Yep. Number 4, I am going to go with the effort from Sanabria. Number 3, I'll go with the effort from Unas, both from the same game. Number 2, I'm going to go with the Raja Nainggolan bomb from 35 yards out. And then my goal of the week, the curling free kick from Krunic De Bruyne to get Milan off and running against Hellas Verona. Yeah, fine. That's in the background. That's fine. But still, even if he was playing for another team and scored that would have been my goal of the week. What a goal.
Yeah, no, there's all good goals. There's a lot of good goals this weekend. So, like I said, there's a lot of goals on my list. My honorable mentions, I'll start with Llorente. I thought he did a fantastic job. He was getting pulled down on the play and finds a way to get a toe on it and finds a way to get in the goal. Honorable mention there. Morata, his goal was an honorable mention, the first one, not the penalty. Sanabria, that's one of my honorable mentions there. João Pedro, I thought, did a fantastic job to not only get the first initial shot off, but then get the rebound. Berezinski, I mentioned this before, a wonderful thumping shot on his goal in the Sampdoria match. Sticking with that match, Gabbiadini as well with a long distance range shot, and Osimhen. So those are all my honorable mentions. All were fantastic goals. Number 5 for me, I'm going to go with Recha. His goal plus his celebration. I mean, he's doing some freaking flips after his goal too. So, I mean, it was just really well taken there. Number 4 is I'm actually going to go with Milinkovic. He had like a karate volley in front of the goal there, a loose ball, and he just threw himself up there, a center back, doing a nice volley from. It was easily a 6 foot high in the air that he got it. So very well done there. Number 3 for me is actually going to be a combination. It's Milan guys, Krunic and Dalot. Never expecting those guys to score goals. Fantastic goals. Wasn't quite enough to make my top 2, but both of them were very well taken. Number 2 for me is going to be Adrien Rabiot. I thought it was a very well taken at a difficult angle at the top corner.
Yeah, it was a good goal.
Really good goal by Rabiot. You rarely say that about him, right? So maybe that's the shock factor kind of raised up for me. And then number 1, we talked about this in the Crotone-Torino matchup. It was just the whole circumstances of Unas getting taken down, red cards, and then kicking the ball off and then going through 3 guys and scoring a goal. Off the post, no less. So that's my goal of the week, Adam Unas.
Okay. What was everybody else's goals of the week? Go to @Serie Sitdown on Twitter or Instagram. And now the moment you've all been waiting for, the world's most popular hashtag game. Who won Calcio Twitter? Let's get right to it. Richard, who leads us off?
It's a recurring I don't know. I don't even know. Nino.
Repeat offender.
Repeat offender.
Repeat offenders. Our nominees that keep getting multiple nominees are repeat offenders.
Repeat offenders. Nino's back in our lives. His tweet says AC Milan completely dominate Udinese tonight. This is the Udinese Milan game from the midweek. Simple 3 points for the Rossoneri. 7-1, 7 penalties for Milan in stoppage time. All right.
That's all right. All right, so at Antonius Jody 86. Hey, I didn't know AC Milan just modernized their crest and instead of the black and red stripes and cross, it's a penalty spot. Yeah, very funny.
That's funny. This is also a good one from that match. It's from Ian Ferraro. It says, anyone have Striker Larson's address in Udine? I want to send him a panettone. One of the good ones. No reasons. I mean, anyone who saw that that was worthy of a Who Won Calcio Twitter. I mean, I don't know what he was doing, but it was a stupid penalty, made controversies spike up after that. So, yeah, anyway.
You know how he was kind of like palling around with Kyer before he went into the game.
Yeah.
So maybe he was just like, hey, that's my fellow Dane, and he's got a better shot at winning this thing than I do, so let me help him out.
The national team if I help you out.
Yeah. Hey, if I do this for you, will you make sure you put in a word to get me into the national team? There you go.
Yeah, there you go.
All right. @_Nerazzurri, another one of our repeat offenders. Adam Digby had said, I know I should have told him I'm an Inter fan. In 5 years, they'd say I definitely cheated, but the statute of limitations is expired, so I'd be able to play again. And in response to that, he goes, try appealing 30 more times.
Nice. Next one comes in from Jerry Mancini. He says, Roma can beat a top club. Wink.
I like Jerry, but you know what? He used this damn picture for like about 5 or 6 different things.
I know. This is the one I like the most.
Yeah. Well, I mean, as a Laziale, it makes a lot of sense. At Ricky for real, I ain't gonna lie, I smell match fixing.
Hey, look how bad
it's to our point. Striker Larson's in cahoots with Kyer, so he can get into the Dane national team. So.
Oh, look how bad this is. Oh, there it is.
This is so bad. What are you doing?
I don't know.
You're playing my favorite team, and I'm actually mad that you did this.
Oh, my goodness. I know. Anyway, this one comes from @95 Marco V, and it's a picture of LeBron James and
J.R. Smith. Yeah.
And he's Insigne, and behind the other one's Bakayoko, and he's like, what are you doing, man? Come on.
Nice.
All
right. Nima Tavali is nominated here. You have to actually play the video where I believe, it's I think it's Spanish commentary, Real Madrid against Mönchengladbach, and Nima just says mood. And the guy's name sounds like Manamana, and so you see the Manamana.
Yeah. Pretty funny.
Well put together there by Nima.
Next one in was coming in from Michael Lisi. So the Laziale posted this tweet. It says, ex-striker Ravanelli, Lazio can beat anyone in Italy. Juve in a total emergency. And then Michael Lisi chimed in, I was hoping he would offer his opinion.
Yeah, Ravanelli. What color is his hair these days?
It looks silver at that point.
Yeah. At Raffaele Naples 7. Napoli di Sarri, Napoli post Sarri.
All right.
Neither of them would be my cup of tea. So
yeah. This one is pretty funny. It's actually it's Il Verbo, so at Verbo _il, and the announcer, not her, but the man. He says something you probably shouldn't say on air. It was if you know what figa means, then you'll know what this is about. But definitely go check it out. It's very funny because it's an on-air slip, an on-air. Oops, did not mean to say that. I know that, but anyway, very funny. Oh,
what? Okay, so tell what is figa?
It means a hoo-ha. What's the polite way to say this? A woman's vajayjay.
Oh,
yeah.
All right. Let's see.
I'll show you the translation right there. There, you can see the translation right there if you want to see it. But anyway.
Not good. All right. Forza Milan at UK_AC Milan. This was back on March 6th, which would be Saturday. This was in relation to the Juve Lazio game. These commentators realize the old lady isn't going to shag them, right?
Oh, nice. All right. So Milan Club Philly nominated this one from Milan Club Dublin. And it says, goal, free kick from Krunic. We don't even have a goal graphic for him. 1-0 Milan.
Sometimes you have to dig.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, let's see. Jake at That Milan Fan nominating Krunic v KDB.
Yeah, I don't know who's better, Krunic or De Bruyne. It's very difficult. It is.
And Rio Ferdinand's just saying, just enjoy them both.
And speaking of that, our friend Rajiv says, at Kiri Lisa says, Krunic De Bruyne. There you go. There it is. Combine them both. All right.
All right. Gianni Delicoli, who tried to create a rift between Richard and myself here in recent days.
Oh,
did he nominate himself on this one?
He did.
He nominated himself?
He did.
That's the other thing. I mean, first, Gianni, I like you, all right? But here, first be funny, okay? Second, stop nominating yourself, because if you're funny and I catch it, I'll put it up.
You started the voting yourself, so you brought this upon yourself.
I brought this upon myself?
You're the first one to nominate yourself.
Well, I didn't. Well, but it was funny. But the difference is when I nominate myself, it's because it's funny. Okay.
To be fair, Mario Rui could be my father. Look at him. Look at him.
Yeah, he's like I notice a resemblance here.
He's got more gray hair than me, and I'm 10 years his senior.
Mario Rui is the oldest 29-year-old I've seen.
This may be the winner, folks. Came from Uncle Sharma the other day, and it says, Happy International Women's Day with Silvio Berlusconi.
Nice.
Oh, man.
Bunga.
Yeah.
All right. De Vrij reminded Conte about his yellow card.
You got to listen to the audio on this. It's pretty funny, but De Vrij being funny, so I nominated De Vrij for his comments in this one, not Uncle Sharma. Sorry, Uncle. All right, we're wrapping up on this one. Michael Lisi today in the Porto-Juventus matchup. He says, hey, Porto is playing Abate at right back today. It was that bad.
I didn't get that.
Oh, the guy was playing terrible. They're just getting beat down the right-hand flank.
All right. Steve with just, if you know, hashtag who you. Steve, yeah. What was that about? Steve, if you're listening, what was that about? Could you?
Probably Juventus losing.
Yep.
All
right. At Dan Colosimo, 200-year-old houses have better walls than this. with a still of the Juventus wall on the freak. It's just such.
Look how bad that is. Look how bad
that's just tragic. That's just tragic. You want to win the Champions League, and that's your wall.
Your 5 guys are not even close to each other. They're not even touching.
Yep.
$100 million man is turned around with the legs open.
Yep.
Oh my goodness. All right. This one you kind of brought it up earlier. It was Adam Digby. His comment, and for those who didn't see it, in about the Inter thing, it was I nominated that as Who Won Culture nominee. It was funny, and so was a comment in response to that. But this one I nominated here at Ginyo_Shin. Andrea Pirlo at the press conference. Ronaldo. We nicknamed him the Magician because he disappears when we need him the most.
There you go. Oh, okay. At Jimmy with 2 eyes, 999. Ronaldo was going to take the penalty, but then Szczesny told him it's penalty for Porto.
Oh, poor Ronaldo. Poor Ronaldo.
Well, you can't blame him. You know, it was Portuguese. I mean, I can see it.
From at Raphael H117 says, if Juventus had invested in Bitcoin instead of Cristiano Ronaldo, they'd be the world's richest club by landslide.
Can't argue that. Can't argue that. And he also comes in with another one. 3 years of Cristiano Ronaldo taking all of Juventus's free kicks with stormtrooper accuracy just to be knocked out by a free kick. Beautiful.
Beautiful. That's all of them. That's all of them. Oh, man.
All right. This might be the worst Who Won Calcio Twitter ever, with all due respect.
Some good. There were a couple good ones in there.
When you have some of the ones that have won recently, man, they're a hard act to follow, though. To be fair,
I'm gonna go with Uncle Sharma. Happy International Women's Day, repeat winner for me.
I'm with you. Is that Uncle Sharma's won multiple times though, hasn't he?
He has.
All right. This is the winner. Let's see. I'll go ahead and offer the congratulations. So once again, Uncle Sharma is our winner. Happy International Women's Day, and celebrating with a picture of Silvio Berlusconi with a thing of flowers, and off to meet one of his Bunga Bunga girls, I would imagine.
One for each girl, I guess, right?
Yeah. How many are there?
Too many to count. I don't know. And that's, so many. I'm surprised no one mentioned anything about Zlatan hitchhiking to Sanremo instead of, in the same week of Udinese. People were talking about how bad the Udinese game was, and part of that was because Zlatan was focusing his attention on going to Sanremo, the music festival, as opposed to his team's success. So he got a lot of shtick for that, and hitchhiking to the festival is also part of that as well. So surprised no comments came from that. But
Yep, it's what it is. So, all right, Uncle Sharma, another repeat winner here of Who Won Calcio Twitter. I guess we've been doing this now for, 8 months almost?
Yeah.
6 to 8 months, so it shouldn't be a surprise that we have repeat winners of this now. So, So Uncle Sharma is the winner this week. Once again, hashtag Who Won Calcio Twitter. Keep it all together. Keep it funny, without being offensive and intrusive to other fan base, terribly intrusive to other fan bases. I mean, I think you're all smart enough to know what a dig would be at a fan base and what would just completely offend a fan base. So, understand the difference and, hashtag it. And if you don't hashtag it, we're randomly looking at Twitter. We're randomly going through the Calcio accounts. We'll pop them up there as well. So we had quantity this week, Richard. But I'm going to say this right now, the quantity, but not so much quality. We
may get more coming out of this Juve game from today for tomorrow watch. So maybe next week we'll have more.
Sure. We could have some good ones here coming up. But to all of you in Calcio Twitter, I'm telling you right now, up your game. We can be better than this. So
bring it.
So. All right, so with that, we're going to put a bow on this edition of Serie Sit Down. Shameless plug time, Richard.
Yeah, obviously, just follow all of our social medias, and for those who've been, following with us, thank you so much. You can follow me always at R_KHARMAN. You
can follow me at FTC_21. Give a shout out to at United Daily Pod and give them a follow. That's where I appeared on their podcast this morning to break down the upcoming Europa League game between Manchester United and AC Milan, along with the help of Matt Santangelo, past guest here. Also, Ben Pierce is the guy who runs the show there. He is at Ben Pierce Talks, all small letters. Be sure to give him a follow as well. Does some really good work with his stuff. If you're looking to follow a Manchester United account, follow him. Serie Sitdown. We have our own channel on Apple Podcasts. We have our own channel on SoundCloud. We can be found on Stitcher, Spotify, iHeartRadio, wherever there's podcasts. There's Serie Sitdown. At Serie Sitdown on Twitter or Instagram. Comment anything that you want to from this podcast, or questions or topics for future podcasts. We'd love to hear them. We're also available on Facebook, though we're rather scarce there these days. But you're welcome to send a message. We might get it. We might answer.
Yeah.
Check out all of those social media platforms here on the YouTube page. If this is the first time you have caught us and you liked what you saw, please subscribe. Please drop a like on this video. It helps us out big time. It means a lot to us. Chat. Grazie. Great stuff. As always. And same time next week, Richard. Let's do this again, huh?
Same bad time, same bad channel.
We can't. Can we use that?
Why not?
All right.
We're taking everything else.
Adam West is dead, isn't he?
I don't know. That's a good question. That's a good question.
But anyway,
We'll answer it next podcast.
That's something we can find out for next time. Yeah. So we will catch up with you guys again a week from now. So for Richard, I'm Frank. As always, make sure you tell your paisans about us. Ciao.
Make it big.